He's a nurse, life could be worse. She's a mess, we must confess. Welcome to My Princess Has a Mess.
This episode of My Princess Has MS is being sponsored in part by Ageless New Brunswick, timeless stories about passionate people, published in beautiful Woodstock, New Brunswick. Connect with Ageless New Brunswick on their Facebook page for information about retail sales locations, as well as magazine and digital subscription options. Well, it almost escaped me that today, May 30th, is World MS Awareness Day. So realizing that, I could not acknowledge that. And it actually kind of forced me, to be truthful, to share a podcast with you today. Something we haven't done in the last couple of months. I'll explain that later on in the episode. I also do apologize to those who have faithfully followed Brent and me this past couple of years, and I hope that our inconsistency hasn't caused us to lose your listenership. I think that's a word, maybe. I'll Google it later. Anyway, happy World MS Day to all of my fellow neurologically challenged friends today. And I do apologize because this is one of those MS days where my voice is crackling. It's husky and I'm tripping over my words. But those of you who have MS, some of you may be able to relate to that. It's going to happen. I can't do a thing about it. So hopefully you can bear with me. First of all, as you've probably already figured out, I'm flying solo this episode, my first time ever, and hoping that I'll still be able to hold your attention without the crazy banter Brent and I usually share. So this episode may be a little bit dry compared to others. We'll just say that. I'm sorry about that, but Brent usually brings the medical insight and the funny. I just play along, I guess. He will return, though. No worries. But that's okay, really, because usually we try to have a healthy balance of serious discussion and silliness. Anyway, and today is probably more on the serious side, just for your information. We are about to get to that shortly, but I want to start with a little bit of good news that we have been dying to share with you. We've been incredibly excited to tell you about this. As you heard right off the top, My Princess Has MS is now sponsored. Yes, we are. We were not looking for a sponsor at this time, and quite truthfully, we never dreamed that our rinky-dink little low-budget podcast would ever have one. However, out of the blue, our longtime friend from New Brunswick, Teresa Chisholm, who we both met back in college during our radio and television arts program days. Yes, I actually have a diploma in that. You'd never know it today. She contacted us with a proposal. She happens to be the owner, manager, writer, and publisher of a very successful magazine called Ageless New Brunswick, along with her husband, Stephen, I think since 2011, I believe. It's read quarterly, last count I could find, by over 8,000 people across North America, which is kind of a big deal. And so is Teresa, actually. Her resume includes a radio career with the CBC here in Canada, having been posted in places such as Sydney, Nova Scotia, Iqaluit, Nunavut, and Goose Bay, Newfoundland, in various capacities for nearly 15 years. So that's a big deal. Add to that, Teresa has been a municipal councillor since 2008, and she's also a former community college journalism instructor. And more importantly, she's a wonderful person who is, she's always giving back to her community. She's always fighting for causes that she's passionate about and giving as well, as is evidenced by her offer to sponsor us in our little project. That's what we'll call it. So sending out enormous gratitude to you this evening, Teresa, and Ageless New Brunswick. I know it's late in the day, but hopefully some of you who do have MS took some time to read and share all of the info that's been floating about online. For 2021, the World MS Awareness Day theme is connections, and this is a direct quote from their website. The MS Connections campaign is all about building community connection, self-connection, and connections to quality care. The campaign tagline is, I connect, we connect. And the campaign hashtag is, of course, hashtag MS Connections. MS Connections challenges social barriers that leave people affected by MS feeling lonely and socially isolated. It's an opportunity to advocate for better services, celebrate support networks, and champion self-care, end quote. So people with MS were encouraged today to share their own MS stories online in an attempt to help them connect with others fighting the same fight. Sometimes we do feel alone, isolated, and that no one could possibly understand what we're experiencing. That's just the way it is. But this campaign theme, which I think is really awesome, it was used last year in 2020's campaign, and it will be used again next year as well in 2022. It helps the MS community to be able to reach across the miles, I think, and hold hands in solidarity, really. We're not alone, but sometimes finding available resources is an issue, or we just fear connecting. Yeah, I'm raising my hand right here, by the way. Those are obstacles. So this World MS Day, let's make a promise to ourselves to make more of an effort to reach out, not only for our own needs, but the needs of others in our MS community. I'm saying it came out of my mouth, but I'm not so great at following through, but I will try, promise. And that's a lot coming from a self-proclaimed introvert. So also something mentioned in the campaign is championing, see my words, championing for self-care. That's something I, quite frankly, suck at. It's compounded by the fact that I also enjoy chronic depression. Yay me. So between MS fatigue and depression zapping my energy and motivation, it's a 5-star day if I can get up before 2 p.m. I'm not lying. And bonus points if I actually manage a shower before going to bed again. Truth, which I didn't today. But I will, I promise. So that brings me to one of the reasons we have not done a show in so long. I'm going to be brutally honest, just because I have no sense of keeping my personal business to myself, as you already know from past episodes. I have not been doing well, mental health-wise, for at least a couple of months now. In fact, I have cried every day, and I do mean every day, since April 17th. Why I remember the date, I have no idea, but I know the date. Why? Well, it is a symptom of MS to be depressed. It's also a symptom of perimenopause. It's also a symptom of severe lack of sleep, which I am struggling with, and Hashimoto's thyroiditis also. So who really knows? All I do know is that my lens to the world is giving me pretty bleak images right now, and joy is fleeting. I have no vision of what my future goals might be, or even how I picture my future, to be honest. I obsessively fear death. I'm also grieving my loss of independence, not being able to, just drive to the grocery store or Walmart. And no, I don't wear my pajamas. Don't judge me. Okay. So, or even picking up a coffee and parking by the harbor just to have some me time. Because two medical professionals, and, I'm not disagreeing with them, they suggested that my poor sense of direction was of concern, enough so that I probably shouldn't be driving. But the choice was mine in the end. I did not renew my driver's license, and, I could, I guess, if I wanted to renew them again. But I feel some changes that are concerning. So, you know, as the medical professionals suggested, my poor sense of direction, and I mean poor. I've I've gotten lost twice in the same day in my own town. So it's real, and I do notice that my eyesight isn't quite clear all the time. So I'm not sure. Maybe I shouldn't be driving. It might be safer for all of you. And yeah, I have a husband and a son who drive, and they do those things for me, going to the grocery store and picking up things for me. But that just makes me feel worse. I feel like a burden. I feel like I'm useless. Those are just feelings that when they pop up, they're always indicators for me that I'm not dealing well. Whenever I'm using negative terms. I'm also so afraid of the last 2 summers that I had, which I've spoken about before. Afraid of them repeating themselves, where I spent weeks of crying every day, feeling afraid that my mental numbness was never going to end, that I couldn't feel joy at all. I couldn't understand why people were happy. I literally remember saying to my family doctor, and I don't know, I find this kind of funny. I try to find the humor where I can. I remember saying to him that when I overheard people laughing and having fun, all I could think was, why are they so happy? Don't they know they're all going to die? It's okay. You can laugh. I did. In his office, I kind of grinned, and then he kind of stifled a smirk, but then he really quickly collected himself, and we carried on. But it was just such a bizarre thing to say, probably a bizarre thing for him to hear, but it was also true. And I'm feeling that way once again. I'm also grieving the fact that, and this is not against Brent, it's just, this is on me, grieving the fact that he treats me like I'm incapable of doing certain household tasks, like carrying my dog upstairs for bed each night. She weighs about 11 pounds, honestly. I think I'm okay with that one. She's not a burden. Or he doesn't let me carry groceries from the car into the house, or laundry up or downstairs. And those I somewhat understand, considering my track record with falling. It's pretty bad. But it still makes me feel inadequate and without purpose. Even having to rely on him for my injections, it's dehumanizing, really, I guess is the word. You don't have to have MS-related depression to experience those feelings. Anyone with any illness or disability has probably struggled with those thoughts. People with depression who just can't get out of bed or do things around the house like they used to. People who are wheelchair bound for whatever reason and have to rely on someone else for their personal care. People with Parkinson's, lupus, cancer, Lyme disease, brain injuries, you name it. The hard part is that, for me, when I'm in the thick of it, I become frightened. I think it will never end. I can't see an end. But it does end. If you're feeling those dark thoughts, just believe that it will get better. But it will only get better if you seek medical help first. White knuckling it doesn't mean you're strong and can fix everything on your own. It just means that you're a human pressure cooker, basically, waiting to explode. And that's just my opinion. But I found a couple of amazing medical support people who have helped get me on proper meds, the proper cocktail, I like to call it, as well as some counseling too. But having said that, episodes continue to pop up out of the blue, and it's so hard to remember that it's just a phase. As long as I keep my medical team aware and work with them to get back to something resembling normal, whatever that looks like, if you know, hit me up. I could use use an example because I don't know what normal is, or if it exists. Right now, I've been keeping regular contact with my amazing psychiatrist who really gets me. He understands, and I know he believes me. I've learned that by no fault of their own, GPs really just experiment with what will work for you med-wise, what they feel will work, changing the combination of meds until it just seems to be working. And that's not the case I found with psychiatrists. They really understand the mixology, I guess, if you will, of psychiatric meds. They don't go into it blind, pulling pills off the shelf all willy-nilly, hoping they get some magic combination that eventually works for you. They know their stuff. It's their area of expertise, and they work with you, and they monitor your situation closely. Just having a psychiatrist who I have absolute faith in makes me feel very safe. I don't feel alone and adrift, worried that no one knows how to fix me anymore. So make sure that you get that kind of help too. They can't cure you necessarily, but having someone who hears you, believes you, and has the toolbox to tune you up is just worth everything. So yeah, that was supposed to be a little explanation of why we've gone invisible lately. Like, I just can't bring myself to do a show for you when I'm not at my best, which is totally ironic considering depression is a common topic on our podcast. But I don't think it would be helpful to any of you to listen to me in an Eeyore state for an hour. So you're welcome for that. But yes, that's mainly why we've not been doing episodes. But I had told myself a while back, like, regardless, you have to commit yourself to doing this. But it's hard, when you're, getting out of bed at 2:00 in the afternoon, staying awake until 5 in the morning. And why am I doing that? That's a very good question. I think I have a bit of a phone addiction, and I do need to try to go to bed at a better hour for me, and maybe put the phone across the room or something. I don't know. I have tried that, but it's almost like I don't want to do that, if that makes any sense. So I'm my own worst enemy, and until I smarten up, well, I'm gonna have sleep issues. So that's something I am, working on, and I've discussed it with my psychiatrist, and that could be one of the reasons why I've been so down the last couple of months. One other note, the reason, by the way, that Brent is not here tonight is because he traveled about 3 hours today to his mother's home at the other end of the province, because she's having major surgery tomorrow, and he wanted to be there for her, which is what every good son should do. And it makes me feel good that he's there with her, because he does so much for me, and she deserves the same. So that's good. That I think she feels really good about having him there too, and being that he's a registered nurse, I know she's in good hands, and she's one tough cookie, I'll tell you that. So I know she's got this, but it is still worrisome. She always listens to our podcasts and will be well on her way to recovery probably by the time she hears this. But the boys and I are sending you big hugs and positive thoughts that you will heal well and comfortably. Well, that's I think that's all I really have to say. There are other things that Brent and I wanted to discuss together, so we're aiming to do that very shortly. By the weekend. That I'm saying this without his knowledge, but I'll see that it happens. I'll try. but he's not here right now for technical support. So I should probably try and end things now so I can begin the process of editing and uploading this to YouTube on my 25-year-old son's grade 9 laptop. Just a heads up that due to possible technical issues, this may already be days old by the time you hear it. No, actually, that's pretty much bankable information. I think this may be a little late being published. And so when you do hear this, just imagine that it's still World MS Awareness Day, and know that Brent will be back next episode, and that I can almost promise you that I will never subject you to my solo version of My Princess Has MS ever again, if you're lucky. Thanks for listening, and take special care of yourselves and each other. Ta-ta for now. And thank you once again to our gracious sponsors at Ageless New Brunswick, Timeless Stories About Passionate People, a Woodstock publication. Follow them on Facebook for all the information you need to find retail outlets as well as physical and digital subscriptions.